And the pills, they dull the pain a bit, but after taking them, she sleeps for at least a few hours. Jungkook feels a lump forming in his throat. What kind of episodes, Joya? She didn't tell me. It became something regular. Joya shrugs, avoiding eye contact, a weighty silence hanging between them. Mom didn't want you to worry, she confesses, the air heavy with an unspoken guilt toward her brother. Doctor prescribed injections, but the hospital is too far, and the nurse can't come every time. Injections need to be done quickly, and we were told it's better to hire a caregiver. So, I went to the school nurse and asked her to teach me to do them myself. Jungkook attempts to swallow the lump, but it seems to grow, and unshed tears shimmer in the corners of his eyes. Joya, why the hell didn't you tell me we needed a caregiver? Why? A sudden outburst comes from her, frustration etching her features. Because it's expensive, she exclaims, her brows furrowing. Jungkook sees his own reflection in her expression, the same furrowed brows, the familiar squint that he adopts each time he fights back tears. It's expensive. And you don't have that much. I would have found a way, he hisses, frustration rising, his hand slamming onto the table. How could you keep me in the dark about this? It's such a thoughtless move. Joya, don't shout at me, she pleads, her emotions breaking through, eyes shut tight in an attempt to block out the reality. Do you think we don't see how hard you work? How exhausted you sound when you call us? Or do you think Mom doesn't know how costly your life in New York is? She didn't want to burden you with the fact that we now need even more money. She asked me not to say anything. She's our mom, Jungkook. Joya wipes away tears hastily. She cares about you. Exactly, she's our mom, he erupts. And do you think learning all this now makes me feel any better? Knowing that she's feeling worse, and you didn't even ask me for help. You need help yourself living there. It's not up to you to decide. You understood, Jungkook warns, his finger pointing firmly at Joya. The room bears witness to the tension, the air thick with unspoken worries. And from now on, you'll tell me absolutely everything. Even if Mom asks you not to say anything, you report to me about everything happening at home. Got it? And you'll be the one to text or call me if you need anything. Joya lets out a heavy sigh, her gaze evading his, shoulders bearing the weight of a burden she's carried alone for too long. We're managing, really, she finally admits, the weariness in her voice suggesting a struggle she's fought in silence. Honestly, Jungkook, we are coping just fine. See, I've learned everything. I can take care of her, but what if you're at school next time? What if she has another episode, and you're not around? Who will help her? Joya, sometimes, if she feels unwell from the morning, I skip school, she confesses, her admission heavy with the sacrifice she's made. Jungkook exhales loudly, his hands rubbing his face in a mix of frustration and worry. Stop this. You have to study, Joya. We can't afford for you to get expelled for truancy. Yes, but Mom, that's precisely why we need a caregiver, he interjects sharply, his eyes fixed on his sister. So you can go to school, and someone whose job it is can take care of Mom. We can't afford it, Joya repeats, desperation lacing her voice. You don't understand how expensive a week of such care is. We won't be able to, Jungkook. A thought nags at Jungkook's mind, a realization that their financial struggles are intertwined with the dual life he leads. The world of private dances, a realm that brings in the very money they need to secure their mother's care. I'll handle it, he asserts confidently, a determined gleam in his eyes. And before I leave, we'll hire a caregiver. And you'll go back to school, Joya, and that's not up for discussion. I'll cover the cost for as long as it takes until mom gets better. But, Jungkook, you know that the chances, until she gets better, Joya, Jungkook cuts her off, resolute. That's the end of the discussion. I hope you understand me well. Joya meets his gaze, a mix of gratitude and reluctance in her eyes. I understand, Jungkook. But we can't keep burdening you like this. You're not a burden, Joya. Family takes care of each other. Joya, eyes brimming with unshed tears, moves cautiously around the table and envelopes her brother in a heartfelt hug, seeking solace in the familiar warmth of his chest. How are you going to handle all of this on your own, Jungkook? She whispers, her voice barely audible amidst the hushed atmosphere. Jungkook, acutely aware of her hands gripping him tightly, reciprocates the embrace, his fingers gently tracing comforting circles on her back. I'll figure it out. But you don't need to carry that weight, Joya. My only wish is for you to finish school and break free from this place one day, to live a life far better than what we've now. Okay? That's all I want for you. Joya nods, her face nestled against his chest, finding reassurance in her brother's words. Jungkook presses another tender kiss on the crown of her head. Meanwhile, Lee, who has silently observed the poignant exchange from behind the slightly ajar door, can no longer resist the urge to join. She tiptoes into the kitchen, her small voice cutting through the quiet. Can I help too? Jungkook glances down, a soft smile playing on his lips. Absolutely, sweetheart. You're the main part of the team, Lee nods enthusiastically, her tiny arms wrapping around her older sibling's legs. Later in the evening, sitting in the living room again, Jungkook can't help but glance over at his mom. She occupies an armchair, draped in a cozy blanket, a plate of Christmas dinner in her hands. Despite the weariness etched on her face, a soft smile graces her lips as she listens to Lee's lively tales about her elementary school friends. The room exudes a serene atmosphere, momentarily obscuring the turbulence of the day. Within this tranquility, Jungkook contemplates his thoughts. Joya, seated beside him on the couch, takes a bite of garlic bread, playfully interrupting his introspection. Do you want more potatoes? Don't talk with your mouth full, Jungkook teases her, eliciting a burst of laughter from little Lee. He glances down at her plate, inquiring. Have you already finished everything? Grinning mischievously, she responds. It's delicious. I want more. I still have some, thank you. He shakes his head. Then just bring some for me. She grins mischievously, extending her plate towards him. Setting his own plate on the coffee table, Jungkook sighs, jesting. I agree only because I missed you. Otherwise, you'd have to get your ass up and go yourself, Joya. Mom's sudden scolding jolts him back to reality. Jungkook, watch your language. Lee, seated on the floor with a cushion, erupts into laughter. As don't repeat that, Jungkook scolds her, wagging his finger. But when the little one laughs again, he sighs and heads to the kitchen, shaking his head. Leaving the plate on the table, he reaches for the stove, where mom's prepared potatoes are still wait. Abruptly, a knock on the door disrupts the moment. Jungkook, can you please open the door? Joya calls, dividing his attention between the kitchen and the living room. Grandma and Grandpa are here, a broad smile on his face. He forgets about the potatoes and strides toward the door. An electric anticipation builds within him, intensifying with each step. He reaches for the doorknob, his smile widening even further. Finally, you're here. We've been waiting for. The boy freezes, the door only slightly ajar. Standing on the threshold of his home is not his grandparents. In front of him stands Mr. Kim Taehyung. Taehyung, who looks nothing like himself. The usual suit has been replaced by blue jeans and a white-colored turtleneck sweater. His typically perfectly styled hair now boasts a light, tousled disarray. And his face. Jungkook thinks it looks different, but he can't quite put his finger on what's changed. "What are you doing here?" the boy hisses, partially shielding the door and taking a step onto the porch, attempting to create a barrier between the unexpected guest and the scene inside his home. "Jungkook," the man's voice seems slightly hoarse, and he speaks less loudly than usual. "I brought treats," as if to confirm his words. He displays a large cardboard bag he holds in his hand. "Straight from New York, from one of my favorite pastry shops, and I just thought maybe I could." "What?" Jungkook frowns, shaking his head. "What's going on, Mr. Kim? What the hell are you doing here?" "Sweets. For Christmas. You don't exactly resemble Santa," Jungkook snorts. "I thought that maybe you'd let me stay for a little." What laughter slips off Jungkook's lips. Is this some kind of joke? You show up out of nowhere to deliver a Christmas sweets, and now you want to stay? "In my family's house." The man shakes his head, visibly perplexed, so subtly that anyone other than Jungkook might not have noticed. "But Taehyung, he looks different. And it's not just the clothes." "I can't believe this." Taehyung raises his gaze to meet Jungkook. "What I believed, as if all your words were true." Jungkook chuckles sadly, scrutinizing him again. "That all your talk about giving me some freedom, the wish to spend holidays with my family, that it was all true. And it turns out, you lied again. Why persuade me that I could relax and stay home for the holidays, only to chase after me? I'll never believe there isn't a place in the whole damn world for you to spend Christmas." Taehyung bites his lip, nodding. Then he simply hands the bag to Jungkook. "You're right." He tries to smile, but it comes out as something rather sad. Something akin to the way Jungkook's mom smiles, trying to show that everything is okay. "Yes, you're right. Please forgive me. I better leave." "Merry Christmas, Jungkook." Hardly has Jungkook managed to comprehend anything, looking at the ridiculously large bag in his hand, when the man, turning on the soles of his shoes, is already walking away, descending the porch steps. And only now does Jungkook realize that something was off all this time. Mr. Kim seems sad for the first time. So uncharacteristically broken, if Jungkook dares say so, that it's confusing.